Welcome to That's So Vegas. I'm your host, Christine McKellar, here at the fantastic WCOBM studio right off of Las Vegas Boulevard. It's heating up out there. We've had a little humidity, but girls, don't ever let us get that down. So I have a special guest here today, Renee Hale, and you have a special message for people. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But for viewers who aren't familiar with your face, although a lot of Las Vegans are, I thought we'd talk a little bit about your wonderful background in entertaining. You can sing, you can dance. You've also been an entrepreneur. You have a business, event planning.
Right. Vegas has been very good to me.
I'm happy to hear that. I love it. So tell us a little bit about how you got into music, singing and dancing. And I know that you didn't live in Vegas at the time. That career actually brought you to Vegas, right?
Right. I was originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Nice.
Right. Not so much in the wintertime.
Oh, well.
Although that sounds pretty good, right?
It does sound real good to me right now. Yeah, this humidity, whoa.
Right. So I had an opportunity to come to Las Vegas, and it was January. And in Cleveland, it's brown skies and blizzards and cold. And I came out to Vegas, and it was sunshine and palm trees. And I said, this is where I want to be.
And it was a gig that brought you out here, right?
I did a gig out here, and I was with Ray Anthony in the Bookends,
Uh-huh.
and then went back to Cleveland, and I said to my mother, I was quite young at the time, and I said, well, Mom, I'm going to either run away from home,
Oh.
or you can come with me. So we packed up the car like the Beverly Hillbillies, my mother, my sister, my dog, my girlfriend, and we drove across country
Oh,
and
how fun.
ended up in Vegas,
That must
back
have
in
been,
Vegas.
right, what an adventure, though.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
driving with the family and the dog and
Oh,
everything.
nice,
And, yeah,
nice.
so you adapted quickly, I guess, to the whole scene on the
Absolutely.
strip.
Absolutely.
At some point in your career, you decided to get into event planning, destination-type event planning? Or tell
Right.
us
Well, my actual first partner was Gail Martin, Dean Martin's daughter. In the late 70s, we put together a model agency for the conventions. And then,
Great idea.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And then I continued singing all over the strip and started performing with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. And I would go to different cities with them and sell Vegas in my shows for the travel agents.
What a cush job. That must
It
have
was
been
great.
fun.
It was great.
All expense paid and traveling.
Sweet.
And
It was a sweet job and wonderful, and the people were great. But in 1984, there was a strike here. And that took the budget away from the convention center as far as taking entertainment on the road and such. And Rossi, who's now the CEO of the convention center, was my boss at the time. And he said, you really should get into booking entertainment for the conventions, being that you're so good at working the room and giving the audience what they want. And why don't you start doing that for conventions? So I did. I started working.
So that developed, you were doing destination events?
Right, I was doing
Is
it for GES, and they decided they really didn't want to be in that business. So I left and opened my own company with a partner, the girl I was working with at GES. GES is still one of my clients.
Okay.
It's wonderful. And we opened a company called Vegas Entertainment. Later sold that and opened Creative Concepts, and then I went into all of the planning.
Really?
The transportation, the rooms, every bit of the meeting planning.
Flowers, the food, everything?
Decor, catering, entertainment, the whole thing.
Right. And did you do any like similar to the destination weddings? Were they just local, or did people have?
Oh, I would do some things out of town as well. For different clients, they'd want me to plan in San Diego or Florida, and I did that as well.
Oh, gosh, I think that would be such an interesting job, but you'd really have to have your thinking cap on, I mean, to keep
You
all
do.
of that
The
going.
devil in the details. That's what it's all about.
There was a Lake Las Vegas event or something that she just could not praise you enough that you pulled something off out there. It was almost like a miracle.
It was pretty crazy.
It was pretty
It was pretty crazy. When they decided they were going to begin construction with Lake Las Vegas, there were mountains and dirt and nothing.
I recall, yeah.
And the head of the Henderson Convention Center at that time reached out and said, could you put together a groundbreaking party? I said, sure, let me take a look at the site. So I went out there, and there's mountains and dirt.
Dirt
And
machines.
I said, we're going to need some earth movers.
Oh, right off the bat.
We're going to have to level this and pour some cement, and let me see what else. And we're going to have to bus people up this dirt road. And it turned into, it was a beautiful black tie event.
Oh,
and
great. So you overcame a lot of the obstacles.
Absolutely.
Literally the obstacles. It takes an earth mover
Absolutely.
in more ways than one.
Yes.
I
yes,
do
that was
remember
wonderful.
when Lake Las Vegas opened, and it was really just incredible. It's still a beautiful property out
Right,
there.
right.
Yeah. And you still have that event planning company, correct?
I do. I've since opened Always Creative.
We were talking a little bit about your career as an entertainer, and then
Right.
you moved to Vegas, and then you became an event and destination planner and did a wonderful thing out at the opening of Lake Las Vegas,
Absolutely.
moving earth and probably moved a lot of people too. But was there any of those events back then? Did you have any event that was particularly funny or particularly challenging? And you're still doing the business, right?
Oh, the business is
Yeah, it's-
big.
it's good, but-
yes, absolutely. There were a couple of things. One that stands out in my mind was I had a client that wanted me to get them a jazz singer. And the way I grew up, I didn't listen to the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. In my house, it was always Lou Rawls and Joe Williams and Sarah Vaughan, and that's how I grew up in my teen years. And when a client asked me to bring a jazz singer down to San Diego, I said, "What about Lou Rawls?" He said, "Perfect." So I got Lou Rawls.
Wow!
And
Congrats.
it was wonderful. And I said to Lou, "I'm so excited because of you. I started singing, and I had this great singing career in Las Vegas." He said, "I'll tell you what, if you book me again, I want you to perform with me."
Whoa!
So sure enough, a client a month later said, "Do you have a jazz singer? I think our company would like to do a jazz singer." And it so happens in those days we still had Caesar's Palace showroom, which was the showroom in Las Vegas. And for that client, I bought out the showroom, brought in a huge orchestra, brought in Lou Rawls, and his manager had sent me 2 songs, At Last and Fine Brown Frame. And I learned those songs, and I got to sing them with Lou Rawls.
That must have
And I
really
said, that is like the best. And then I paid him. And I got to give him a check. It was a beautiful thing.
It was all the way
It was
around
great.
beautiful.
It was
What a
great.
moment in life.
Right?
Oh,
Right? Yeah,
some
that was
people
really-
never get that opportunity to
It was
really.
fabulous.
Yes, I can only
I didn't
imagine.
think it could get any better.
But you did move on to something, or you're adding something to your.
Absolutely.
You have a fantastic portfolio here with
Thank
your
you.
life and
Thank you.
everything. But we need to tell the viewers a little bit about an epiphany you had with your sister just 2 short years ago, wasn't it?
It was. It was. Our mom, Eileen Hale, was just a phenomenal, fun woman. And she passed away in July of 2014. Well, she'd always said to me, when I pass, I don't ever want to have a funeral. I don't want people crying. I don't want a service. And I want to have a party.
Bless
And
her
people
heart.
that knew her knew that that's absolutely what she wanted. Except for my sister. She said, "What are you talking about, a party?" And I said, "If you look at Mom's will, she says she wants a party planned by me, but she did want Rabbi Mel Hecht to say a few words." And he's a fun guy.
Yes,
and,
I've
and
met-
He's wonderful.
Yeah, the rabbi. He's
And
wonderful. Yeah.
he married my sister, me, did all the bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvah. You know, he's just a great guy. So when she passed, I said to my sister, "We've got to have a celebration of life for Mom at a club." Well, you've got to understand, my mother would go with me probably 4 or 5 nights a week to see all my friends perform in all the clubs around town.
That's wonderful.
And she'd say, we've got to go out. If I said I was tired, she'd say, "Oh, you rest when you get old." Okay, Mom.
Ain't
So
that
we
the
go out.
truth?
So I said to my sister, "We've got to have it at a club." She said, "No, my home." I said, "A club." And her home is beautiful. I said, "I'll tell you what, if you let me remove all your furniture and create a club, then we got it."
Sisterly compromise.
Totally. It was perfect. She's like, "Do your thing." So I went into planning mode, and we created a beautiful club. I had her favorite band. 7 of her favorite singers came and did a jam session.
wow. Wonderful.
She was saying when she was in the hospital, "Oh, what I would do for a mimosa." So as people walked in, we had mimosas. We had
Love it. That's beautiful.
just so many details, so many details. And by the end, people thought they were going to be there to memorialize her, and it would be very sad, and they would be grieving. By the end of that event, they were dancing in the aisles, and that's what she wanted.
Oh, I know.
And so many people said to me, will you do this for my parents, or could I pre-plan my own celebration with you? And that night, I talked to my sister, and she says, you know what? You need to do this. This is the last gift from Mom.
That is a gift. Wow. That gives me chills.
That's exactly what happened. So I started putting all of this together, and it's taken 2 years. And
so you actually have a company.
There is now a business.
A business that is, and it's called Life.
It's called Creative Life Celebrations.
Yes, you have to have the creative in there because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
And I've looked at your website, and of course, being the planner that you are, you've covered so many aspects. And one thing I like that you address that when there is a death, whether it's expected or unexpected, and probably more when it's unexpected, there are a lot of details. And part of that, I think, is good psychology. I think the mourning process, even in different cultures, is to keep the person occupied, to keep their mind off of the grief, But another part, though, it's just a lot of detail to attend to. And you try to cover all the obituary writing.
We will do the obituary writing. If you have people coming in from out of town, we'll set up your room blocks. We'll set up the transportation, the venue. There's so many wonderful venues here in Vegas. And that all depends on the person who's passed, who I call the honoree.
Okay.
Because we're going to honor their life.
Exactly.
We want to honor what they wanted and the way they would, they want to go out. And that's important to do things their way.
And I think the remembrances would be good when you're remembering the happy times and not the sad times. There is always an element of grief. I mean, there is that hole in the heart.
Absolutely.
And, I love the concept here. We're going to talk in the next segment, too, about it's not just for people that you're doing this, but I see also that you can actually do something for pets, which I find interesting because there could be all kinds of pets in this world. Have you had any opposition, any negative? Because it sounds like such a positive, and I'm going to say spiritual kind of thing.
Absolutely.
It's a gift that you're bringing to people.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering if there were any naysayers, or have you hit any stumbling blocks? Or
I have to say 99% of the people love the concept and love that we're celebrating someone instead of just thinking about what we've lost. Think about what this person
or what you didn't say, or what you didn't do, or all that's guilt, I guess, right? Grievers, bereavement, guilt, or something.
Right, but they're depending on some religious or traditional. Some traditions. I've had one Orthodox Jewish friend's mom who was like, "That's just not for me." She's 90, and I totally understand.
Yes, tradition's important to her.
Absolutely,
it's a mantle that they need to
wear.
I understand that,
and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
But for those that want to celebrate,
kind of like the Irish, the Irish wake has been around for a long time. They just go get crap-faced.
Exactly.
They drink their way through the whole thing. And it's a good, there's laughter and tears, whatever works to get you through that. But I do love the idea, and it's some Irish in me, about the Irish used to have the wakes.
Absolutely.
Well, now, and you also can tailor it to different religions, the
customs.
Tradition. Yes,
absolutely.
There's so
much and so many ways to go, and we will do that all.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that takes a lot of creative skill. We'll talk about that in a minute because I do like different cultures, but we left off with talking about the loss of a pet. And you can also do pet, and we can't, celebrations. Let's use the word celebration instead of memorial from here on out.
Thank you.
And I think I have seen people get more destroyed by the loss of a pet than they seem to sometimes by the loss of a human loved one. There's something about our pets that just...
Absolutely. Our pets are so important, whether it's a cat, a dog, a horse.
A horse. Now, have you had a horse memorial yet? Or
we're ready. We've got a couple of ranches that we're working with because, in my mind, if someone is a horse person, they generally have other horse people around, and they may want to ride up with their horses for the celebration, or bring their horses out on a trailer. We've got a great place in Sandy Valley as well, and a couple of ranches here. And we can do a celebration for horses, dogs, cats. We're working with veterinarians so that they can recommend. It's just makes your heart feel good when you can celebrate somebody that's been so special.
Oh,
That's important, especially in Las Vegas. There's so many cultures and religions and different types of people, and that's what America's all about. And I thought it was important to reach out and find out a little bit about all of them, and through all of my creative partners, we could create anything you want, any of your beliefs, your colors, your traditions. We will add that to your celebration.
And there are different ways, of course, like some have masks, right? Or some use urns or symbols, or
right. Well, the Day of the Dead, the Mexican tradition. There's a lot of masks and very colorful symbols and whatnot, and they're celebrating that person going into the afterlife.
Right.
And
now, do you believe in the afterlife? I'm just curious.
I do.
Oh, good.
I do. I'm very spiritual, and I believe we all have souls that have moved on and
become part of something even greater.
Right.
Which is probably why you can do what you do. I mean, when you're dealing with these grief-stricken people, how do you get through that first moment? I mean, do you become emotionally involved sometimes?
Well, I try to bring them into my heart and see how I can comfort them. And very often I'll suggest pre-planning if you know someone is going to pass. Because when it actually happens, you're never ready. You're never ready.
Never.
So if I can come in and do a little consult with you and find out all of the things that were important to them throughout their life, and and spend some time with you and see what's going to just make the situation, the event happen. They see a brighter side, and then it might take a little bit of that stress away when the time comes of how do you deal. And very often I'll tell them start journaling always helps, when you're going through that process and whatnot, and hopefully I can take away some of the pressure during that time. I also will be working with funeral homes, and they wanted to have packages already put together. So we have pre-made packages and menus. If you go in and say, look, I can spend this amount of money, and what can I have for that? We can show you what you can do for that.
I'm surprised they're working with you, because I hate to say it, but I've been there in that position. There's a fee for the viewing room. There's a fee if you want to do this at the funeral
right,
homes.
and that's all included, because everybody needs to get paid, of course.
Right.
But if there's things that the funeral home can't offer, then we'll get into that. And if you want to go into a really customized, and I guess I could compare it to a wedding or a bar mitzvah or some big event, we spend all kinds of money and time on planning those events, whereas your birth and your death are the two biggest moments of your life.
Oh, that's true.
So,
and there's something we all have to go through. Do you offer live entertainment with these packages?
Absolutely.
So you were
absolutely.
like Blue Rawls or whomever, or
right,
you could
right.
have
Well, I've got, when I come to you for a consult, I've got a full binder of various entertainment, and I'm so connected with the entertainment community here. We have everything from bagpipe players and harpists,
pipes,
right, and harpists and violinists and
I'd be having
jazz trios.
I'd be having Tainted Love and all that stuff.
Rock and roll. I mean, whatever you've
already got me planning for mine.
Well, there you go.
I'm not ready to go, but I want to have.
You want to know that it's going to be
that it's going to be a big
knowing
party.
you, it's going to be a party.
It's going to be a real big party. We're talking about a very fantastic and latest business venture, because you're so many things. You're a talented performer, very astute and savvy businesswoman, and then when your mom passed, you and your sister followed your mom's wishes and intuition and decided to celebrate her life. You threw a party, turned your sister's home into a nightclub, and then in your heart you felt driven to share that type of more joyful departure with others, because and even pets, which is awesome. And the cultures too. I like that you've addressed all the different cultures, and because that's important.
It is. There are a lot of customs and traditions that need to be handled as well.
Right, and they can be incorporated, I would imagine, into a lot of celebrations. So that brings to mind. Have you? And I know that the venture's relatively young. You've been working very hard on it. Now you're ready to really bring it out and help people get through that. Is there anything that you don't think you could do as far as with all your research into the cultural differences? Is there something that...
I never say never.
Okay, because
And
it's forever.
It's forever. And I don't say can't. I say, how can we do this? Or how
like
can
that.
we make this happen?
Uh-huh.
So I have not had the opportunity to say this is just not going to happen.
Right. But I would imagine, like, if somebody wanted to do some really, and it's personal, hip-hop stupid thing or something with guns or...
Well, when guns or weapons are involved, unless it's going to be a toy one in a dance routine that has no
Something
bullets,
like that.
I'm not doing that.
I don't know. People have come up with the craziest things of late, but...
Right.
I just really commend you. The website's
The
up.
website's
Are you
up.
actually booking celebrations?
Yes. You can give me a call, fill out the form and send it, and I will be there. I will contact you. And
Have you done several celebrations so far?
I've done a few. I've done quite a
Okay.
few, and I'm pre-planning now as well. And a couple of folks have asked me to pre-plan their parents and even their celebrations. So we've got that all worked out.
I think that's wonderful. And then once you plan it, then you put it away and you forget about it until
Right.
that day does come. Anybody's going to be heartbroken. Are you good with the
Right.
hanky and the shoulder and how do you...
Absolutely.
Okay, so...
I'm the Jewish mama.
Oh, good. So just put it right,
Right
here,
here,
baby.
and I'll take
I
care
got
of
you.
you.
You're
I got
good.
you.
I really love that. And this is a niche that needed to be filled, I think.
I think so. I think it's the time.
Right.
The millennials have a different way of thinking, and I love them, and
Uh-huh.
I get it. I don't think this would have worked 20 years ago.
Right.
I
You're
think
right.
our thinking was different, and this is a different way, a different thought process.
Right.
And-
You're right. I just thought of that as well.
Right.
People are more open to
People are very open now.
things that are more spiritual.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're not as afraid of, I don't know,
Yeah.
as...
Stepping out of the box.
Right, exactly. I do
Yeah.
that all the time.
Yeah. It's
Look
what
what
I
it's
live.
got. Everything's out of...